Well, what do we have here, guys? A little bit more weight savings for the C8 Corvette Z06. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for pressing play. Today, you heard there in the beginning, we're going to be doing some more weight savings with the C8 Corvette Z06. Because we saved about 15 pounds off the rear with the AWE exhaust, we need to save a little bit more off the front, too, to balance things out. All right, so if you haven't seen my previous video where I did this exact same mod on my C7 Corvette ZR1, it was pretty impressive. It ends up saving almost 20 pounds off of the battery weight, and that is thanks to our friends over at Antigravity batteries. You can see it right there. We'll go over all the specs in a second, but basically that is a lithium-ion battery that replaces your normal lead acid battery, and the weight savings is around 20 pounds. You may think 20 pounds isn't that much, but when it comes down to saving any weight inside or outside of your car, 20 pounds is a pretty good bit. So we saved 15 off the rear, 20 off the front now with this installation, and the battery operates better than stock. Big shout out to Antigravity batteries for sponsoring today's video. These batteries are some of the best quality things I've seen, and they have amazing benefits. We're gonna talk all about them, but first, let's get this thing installed. Before we install it though, I figured I might as well mention this because it's right on the box here. It says, this battery comes with 2 key fobs. You might ask yourself,
Justin, what the heck does a battery need a key fob for?
It's actually a really cool feature that these anti-gravity batteries have. Now, for the C8 Corvette or the C7 Corvette, this is the part number you're looking for here, the H6 group. So if you're interested in grabbing one of these batteries, I will have a link in the description down below where you can save $100. It's actually a little over $100 on these things. So they give me a really good discount rate on these. You can save $100 on it just because you use that link in the description below and you watch this on the Horsepower Obsessed channel. So if you're interested in grabbing one of these, which you definitely should, why not save $100 on it? But anyway, you can see here, that is the part number that I got, AGH660RS, or if you just want to follow that link in the description down below, you can do that too. But anyway, here's the key fobs. Again, you're wondering what these are all about. When we install this battery, it doesn't really need a charge like a stock battery does. So the lead acid batteries don't really have a long shelf life, so to speak, which is why you typically need to put your Corvette on a battery tender if you live in the northern states and this thing sits for a couple months at a time. I, however, with the anti-gravity battery, I won't really need to do that because I can actually monitor the battery with the Bluetooth adapter that also goes on there to let me know when this battery is even getting close to low. But the shelf life on these things, from what I've seen on my ZR1, it can sit for upwards of a year before you ever lose enough charge that it would be an issue. Now, if the battery ever did go completely dead and you couldn't get into your car or anything, that is where the key fobs come into play. So this little key fob has just one single button on it. As you can see here, you would literally just press this button and then you get the restart built-in jump starting ability just by pressing that button. Now, there's a button on the battery itself too, so if you lose the key fob or anything, you could always press this battery too. It reserves something like 10% of the battery that is inaccessible to the car otherwise, just for jump starting purposes. So this thing's basically never really dead. Now, if you didn't see on the battery, it also has a ridiculous amount, 1,800 cold cranking amps. So a stock battery is typically between 600 and 800. This one is 1,800. So yeah, this thing's gonna start the car without any issue. There's more benefits we're gonna talk about in a second. Of course, the weight savings, we're gonna literally weigh the stock battery and that one, see how much we're gonna save, but let's get it installed for the time being. So first thing we're gonna wanna do, we're gonna pop the frunk. We gotta remove all of the plastic area here to gain access to the battery, which is right around in here. And then we gotta take the stock battery out. So I've had these pieces off a couple times before, guys, but they're not super difficult. If you wanna just start basically right here, this piece has to come off, just grab it and yank, and that's pretty much it. So we'll just do that all the way back, and just like that. We'll do the same thing on this side right here, and then ultimately this big piece in the front. And there's our battery. So now we just need to remove that and get the new one in. I mean, it's not really a lot of magic to it. So first things first, we're gonna have to remove the nut right here that holds the battery bracket on, which is a 10mm socket, but there is a stud sticking through there, so you'll need a 10mm deep socket. Next, we'll go ahead and use a 10mm to remove the positive and negative battery terminal. So kind of annoying, but the AC Delco battery looks like there was a handle here. I'm not sure if mine's missing it or if they all are. Would have been nice to have a handle there. Would have been really easy to lift this thing out of there with a handle. That's one of the big benefits of the anti-gravity battery outside of the weight is there's a handle on it. And yeah, I mean, the handle actually looks almost just like the one on the AC Delco. I'm assuming this is supposed to be there, but mine's not for some reason. Either way, we got to Hulk it out of there, I guess. And then one more thing, after you remove the terminals and that battery bracket right there, there's another part of the bracket right there. We have to remove that bolt and that little block that's holding the battery down. So let's go ahead and grab that socket, which is a 13 millimeter, and we'll get it down there and take this off. Let's measure or weigh these batteries. I want to see the difference here, because that thing is an absolute behemoth. Getting it out of there, I mean, that thing's got to weigh 40, 50 pounds, somewhere around there. But the new stock one, I think, is around 17. Like I said, we're dropping some weight off the front because that new exhaust from AWE dropped the weight off of the rear. And that stock exhaust system was also a behemoth. And there she blows. Yeah, guys, this thing is like 70 some pounds. The new one from AWE is like 50-ish. So we save 15 pounds off of the unit. That's all that really matters. Since we saved some off the rear, we're going to save some off the front with this battery. So here we go with the stock battery. 44 pounds. And now we'll try the anti-gravity battery, see how much it weighs. 19. So 19 pounds for anti-gravity, 44 for the stock. That's significant. So 25 pounds difference here. That's pretty crazy. This, I mean, you could feel it. Like without any effort at all, I can lift this with one finger. It is definitely lighter than the stock battery. We're going to talk more about the specifications and the reason you would want to do this outside of the weight reduction in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and get this installed, and then we'll talk all about it.
2 seconds later.
All right, so we got the anti-gravity battery in. It is all kind of solidified in there. We got it tightened all down. We got the stock blocks back in. We just need to remove the battery terminal covers and put the terminals on, and then we are pretty much good to go. And just like that, guys, we have power in the car. Love it. Anyway, let's start this thing up, and then we're going to talk about why you want to get an anti-gravity battery. First start after the anti-gravity battery. Let's see. So, got to re-index my windows, but she started.
All right, guys, so we got the battery installed on the C8 Corvette Z06, and just like with my C7 ZR1, as soon as I put the battery in, I noticed the car seems to turn over a hair faster. So when you hit the start button, it just seems like it cranks for less time and starts right up. That by itself, of course, is not a huge selling point, but we're going to go over all the details of the battery because, like I said, there's a lot of benefits to this battery outside of just weight savings or the decreased crank time. Like I said in the beginning, though, guys, you can save 10% on this battery, which could be over $100 depending on which model you get, just by using the code HPO10 and following the link in the description down below. We're going to start off right here on the Anti-Gravity Batteries website. Of course, this is going to be the link that you will be taken to if you click the link in the description down below. This is the model you're going to want. It is going to be the H6/Group 48. And from here, you can kind of choose which amp hour option you want. I, of course, went with the 60 amp hour. It is the largest battery option that they offer. That is also the most expensive, though. So if you choose that one, that's the one you'll save over $100 on. I believe it comes out to $105 after the discount. You got to actually look at it in the aspect of the fact that the replacement of this battery is going to last 2 to 3 times the length of your normal lead acid battery. Statistically, the lead acids are good for anywhere between 2 to 4 years. Typically around that time, you're living on borrowed time from all the research I've done. And if that's the case, then this particular battery can last almost 3 times as long because it is a battery that will last between 10 and 12 years versus your typical 2 to 4 years on the lead acid. So yes, it is more expensive, but you're also not buying a battery for potentially 3 different replacements like you would with the lead acid. We already talked a little bit about the fact that it drops 25 pounds off of the C8 Corvette battery weight, which is gigantic, especially if you're knocking off some weight off the rear end like I did with the AWE exhaust. Now all of a sudden, we have saved 40 pounds off the weight of this car just with these 2 mods. Of course, it does have that built-in jump start capability like I was telling you about. If for some reason you let the battery sit long enough that it completely depleted, you would be able to hit that remote button or the button on the top of the battery to give it that jump start ability, so you would never be stuck without your car. Scrolling down though, there's a bunch of information on the website we can go over. We already talked about the jump start technology, but we haven't mentioned the battery management. So there is a built-in battery management system for safety and long life. So any of you guys out there worried about any kind of problems with this battery, it is going to be covered with the actual safety security system on the battery. It has the exact drop-in fitment, of course, we already know that. It fits the C8 just like the stock battery. It even fits underneath the battery tie down and everything, so it's going to be exactly like stock. The performance benefits, like I said, it saves 25 pounds off the stock weight. It also has a significant more cold cranking amps. As I showed you when installing it, it is 1800 cold cranking amps, whereas the stock one is between 600 and 700. Now with the amp hour capacity options here, like I said, I went with the 60 amp hour, but if you go with a lower one, like 40 or 30, it is actually going to reduce the weight of that battery even more. Now the features and benefits, this is a relatively quick little list. I like it a lot. So it's the first battery with wireless built-in jump starting, full battery management system, restart technology, OEM fitment, longer life, 2 to 3 times the life cycle of the lead acid battery. We talked about that earlier. High power, it's up to 3 times the cranking amps of similar size lead acid battery. It's ultra lightweight. Of course, we saved 25 pounds off the stock one. Low self-discharge, meaning you can let this battery sit in the car over your winter time pretty much without a battery tender, and you're not going to really have to worry, because worst case scenario, it'll get down to that jump start part of the battery and then you just hit a button to get back to it anyway. So you really don't have to plug these into a battery tender over the winter time. The durability and car safe, it's much more resilient to vibration than lead acid is. So again, just another safety level there. And it is environmentally a safer battery. There's no acid or heavy metals such as lead, that stuff. So it is overall pretty much all pros here. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the video. So if you liked what you saw, smash the thumbs up button. Let me know you're liking the content. Check out the link in the description down below to grab your own anti-gravity battery. And I will catch you in the next upload.